It's about a play written by the wife of Matthew McConaughey, kinda, sorta. Oh, jeez. Here we go. All right. So we are in full swing. It's festival season, and 2 years ago I went to Sundance and Slamdance. I was in Park City, Utah, and this year I'm going to be at both Sundance and Slamdance, and of course that's happening in my studio here in my home. Uh, that's right. We're not in Park City this year, but nonetheless, there are some really great films coming out for both festivals, and we've got one of them right here. But before we begin and talk about Iron Family, just want to let you know, please support Film Threat. Visit us at filmthreat.com. We have reviews daily. We have full Sundance and Slamdance coverage, and today we've got a filmmaker who's at Slamdance, and just want to bring in Patrick Longstreth, right? Or Longstreth. Hi. Well, first of all, congratulations on Slamdance. How did you get the news?
Thanks so much,
what were you doing at that time, and how much drinking did you do afterwards?
Actually, that's a funny question. I was with my family, I think the day before Thanksgiving, out at my mom's house, and they called me up and let me know over the phone. So it was really exciting, and I got to tell my whole family right when it happened, and so yeah, we've been anxiously wishing and hoping for this acceptance to Slamdance, and I've been a fan of Slamdance films for years now, and it's just amazing to be included in this group of filmmakers.
Yeah, so let's talk about it a little bit. Just for our audience sake, what is Iron Family about?
Iron Family, the movie, is a documentary about a young woman named Jasmine Ferries, who has a very active imagination, and she writes and directs a play every summer for her friends and family to perform. And she's the main character, and the play is based around her celebrity obsessions. So she's married to Matthew McConaughey, and she cheats on him with Mark Wahlberg and gets pregnant, and then has to try to convince Matthew McConaughey to raise Mark Wahlberg's baby. And so there's a lot of drama, and I don't want to give away the ending or anything. So you'll just have to see the movie to see where all that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very sweet documentary, and it just shows the thing I like about these kind of documentaries. It's not about some issue; it's just about people. And I kind of think about the idea of adversity builds character. It's your subject, Jasmine Ferries. She is her and her family, I think, are living in very challenging circumstances. And I think what your film shows is how these are people that we could easily throw away when we hear about their stories, but this is a family that has come together and taken the challenges they have in life and turned it around and made it something positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. And of course, our movie is about more than just Jasmine's play. It's about the family that comes together for her play, and the sort of a little bit of the history of their family and how they've learned to come together. We went up there with the intention of filming a short film. Excuse me. For like maybe 2 or 3 days, and right upon meeting Jasmine, like within 5 minutes, she was like, "All right, why are you guys asking me questions without the camera going? Let's get this set up here. Start rolling. I'm ready to tell you my story." We're like, "Okay." So we started filming her right away, and I knew right away we had more than a short film, at least. And then we filmed for 7 days straight, and we got interviews with the whole family and learned more about the town of Iron River and kind of how some of the history of that town does play into their story, and it's kind of the lack of opportunities there has driven Jasmine to create her own world, and then her own world of entertainment, I guess you could say. And so after 7 days of filming, we captured the play, and it was a little nervous because my wife and I, it was just her and I, and we didn't show up there with like a full film crew ready to film a feature documentary. We just kind of found ourselves in this moment where we were like, okay, we got to document this. So we set up, a GoPro on one side of the stage, and she was filming with her cell phone, and I was running a tripod. And then halfway through the play, I had to go star in the play. So you'll see me leave the camera and then go on stage for a minute and then come back. So it was a lot of fun. And then after that, we decided to go back to Iron River several times over the course of the next year and film more of Chad and Jasmine's relationship. And then we filmed Chad down here in Savannah, Georgia, where I live, and kind of got more of his backstory. And then we spent about a year editing it and kind of playing around with the storyline, figuring out where things could go. And then we ended up with a 90-minute film.
Wow. I mean, I was looking at your credits, and you've been doing a lot of like graphic effects, things like that. How did that transition? How did the idea of not only becoming a documentary filmmaker, but then also connecting with the Ferries family?
Sure. Well, I've been working in film and television for over 20 years, and kind of really got focused on visual effects about 10 years ago. I went back to school for a degree, and I made this short film called Hellyfish. It's about monster killer jellyfish that attack the beach here in Savannah. And it's kind of a local cult favorite, I guess. And so Chad knew about me from my monster movie days. And he didn't really know that I was already getting into documentaries, though. And so, I still do visual effects that pays my bills. I work on TV shows and indie films mostly, but I got really into documentaries. About 5 years ago, the world started going through some changes, and I felt like I had some things to say about it. And so I started filming just videos for some local organizations and some local issues that I wanted to highlight. And so I put out a few little short documentaries kind of just online and in a few places. And then I got the opportunity to go to Africa with Patricia Arquette for 2 weeks. And that really kind of changed my whole career path. I filmed her efforts to build compostable toilets in Uganda and Kenya. And so we traveled to, remote villages and learned about how they work with their sanitation. And then we filmed in really impoverished urban areas as well. And so and then when we came back, I was kind of transformed because I had all this amazing footage of, elephants and zebras and children in the slums, and it all looked amazing. And I really got more confident using a camera. And I thought, well, I really need to focus more on this because it's more fun for me. Visual effects is fun, but with documentaries, I've really learned how to just live in the moment and capture a moment, and that's been really rewarding for me. So right after I got back from Africa, Chad ran into me and he said, "Hey, I got this thing that I need somebody to go film, and I know you know how to use a camera. So how do you feel about coming up to Michigan this summer?" And my wife and I had already been talking about going to Michigan just to get out of the Savannah heat and kind of do some outdoor stuff up there. And so it was an easy persuasion for Chad to get my wife and I on board. And then of course Chad deserves a lot of credit. He's a producer in the film as well, and so he set up a lot of our activities and interviews, and he has a memoir that he wrote that I read the memoir before we went up there, so I kind of already knew all the family characters before we got started filming.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Iron Family. What I love about this is, these Chad, the mom, Jasmine, they're all very distinct characters amongst themselves. I think, I'm not sure if I got it right, but Chad is kind of like a personality expert or something like that, or on the radio in their town. He also, you see him, kind of helping Jasmine as she's working out her play, letting her know, basically the finer points of storytelling. And is this exactly what you wanted to capture? I mean, I guess ultimately what I want to ask you is, at what point are you thinking about story in terms of how you're going to lay out their lives and what kind of story you're going to tell in your documentary?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I didn't know really what I was working with at first with each of the characters, but I mean, I knew that Chad has a PhD in writing and poetry, and so he taught me a lot of things about story, and he has a good sense for what is a good story. Jasmine herself is obviously a great storyteller, and she draws inspiration from things that are very different from Chad. She watches Days of Our Lives every day and loves Hallmark movies and romantic comedy and romantic drama. But Jasmine did teach me that every story must have a twist. She told me that a couple times, and so it's nice to have Jasmine reminding me of what makes a good story and Chad reminding me of what makes a good story, as we were putting it together. And I showed them the rough cuts as it went along, because I really wanted them to be participants in this film, and I wanted them to approve it. And it did take some persuasion at times to show them these really intimate moments and make sure they were okay with them. Like when Jasmine reveals her crush, and when Chad kind of breaks down about his breaking up with his ex-girlfriend. These are moments that I would not want to be on camera, but they were willing, and so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, because this is the moment that really stuck out in me about your film. It's just this idea, Jasmine, you really highlight this, the fact that she loves love, she loves romance, and there are some very painful moments for her in this. And I'm just curious, how did she feel about it? How it came out? How did how do you play around with that without it's that balance of, we want to be real, but do we really want to get that real?
Mm-hmm. Well, without giving too much away about the movie, I'll just say that my original intention was to leave out all of the kind of the love story stuff, the heartbreak, which is a theme in the film, but Jasmine kept bringing it up so much that eventually, and I started going through the footage. I'm like, man, Jazz keeps talking about this Billy guy over and over. It's like we're gonna have to try to cut him out of the film. And so eventually, and then Chad went and filmed her the opening scene of her having a picture funeral, where she burns the pictures of Billy to kind of hopefully forget about him. And then when Chad brought me that footage, I said, all right, well, we have to lean into this now. We just have to make this part of the story, because it is. And I was operating under the assumption that Jasmine didn't want us to show that stuff. But after talking to her about it a little bit more, she was like, yeah, I'm okay with it, but I want you to interview me, and because I got a few things to say about it, And so once she was able to put her final 2 cents on it, it all kind of came together.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it elevates your film. It connects us with Jasmine, because we've all been in that situation, or
sure,
most of us.
Yeah.
and I think that's what filmmaking is, and that's what documentary is. It's that ability to connect with people and say that you're not alone in this world, and that this is an experience that you've gone through, that Jasmine has gone through, and here's how she went through it.
Yeah. And I think Jasmine has changed a bit over the course of the film because of the making of the film, because she is a person who, she doesn't really like to show weakness at any time. She likes to be seen as somebody who's strong and tough and can do anything, and so she doesn't want to be seen as somebody who got dumped. But we kind of explained to her that, Jasmine, if you show your vulnerabilities and show yourself overcoming them, people are really going to relate to that and want to, cheer you on even more. And so she started to get that, and I'm really proud of her, how she's just been able to represent our story so well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you one last question. You have a friend who's going to make their first documentary film. What's the biggest lesson that you learned specifically with Iron Family that you would pass on to your friend?
Ooh. Well, I would say don't be afraid to become friends with your subjects, don't be afraid to put yourself in the documentary. Really, that was my biggest fear. I've always, followed the sort of journalistic news rules of, you should stay removed. But I think for documentary filmmaking, some of my favorite documentaries, you can't help but become part of the relationship and part of the family in my case.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you doing this interview. Congratulations on Slamdance.
Thank you.
In fact, if you want to see Iron Family, log in to the Slamdance website. It's only $10. $10, and you can see the entire slate of Slamdance films, including Iron Family. So thanks so much for being a part of this.
Hey, thanks so much, Alan.
All right, and have a great day.
Take care.